Hello, Internet! We are 1 week into the VGC 16 rules, and it's been quite an interesting week, definitely an interesting week. Thank you all for watching the initial thoughts video that I put up. Lots of people commenting on there, which is fantastic. Really glad about that. We've hit 2,500 subscribers now as well, so give yourselves a big pat on the back if you're part of the crew. Obviously, I appreciate all of your subscriptions, so really that's fantastic. It is. A bit of an apology, I haven't uploaded any battles in the last week, but I've got my first Premier Challenge coming up this weekend, which is obviously using the old rules as well. So after this next weekend, I'm going to dive properly into this 16 format and hopefully be putting some games on. Although I don't know what I'm going to be using. Don't really have any sort of teams that I'm happy with right now, but there's something that I could probably have a bit of fun with online with. But what we're going to do in this video is have a look at some of the Pokemon I might have overlooked, some of the Pokemon I might have commented on in the initial thoughts video, and see how my opinion has maybe changed in the last week. But first, a bit of an announcement. I'm sure you already know. We've got a championship point bar, which is very nice. So here we are, Pokemon.com website. For the first time, Europe has got a championship points. Basically a qualification bar, so that if you hit 270 championship points, you have got an invite for day 1 of Worlds. This bar is, 350 for United States and Canada. You can see the list here. Day 2 is done, I'm pretty sure this is just the same as well. Top 16 for Europe is the same. Top 8 for the US is the same. We've got Latin America, Asia Pacific, top 4. Japan, South Korea done separately as well. But a bar of 275 championship points might seem initially quite low for the Masters of Europe. A lot of people are going to be hitting this bar, so there's going to be a lot of people getting the invite. Although last year it was the top 60 of Europe, so there was quite a lot then as well. Now I'm not going to complain that this is too low. There's a whole debate that could be had here with Europe. It hasn't quite settled yet with how it can be fair, really, because there are areas of Europe, areas in Germany, areas in the UK, areas in Italy that have lots of Premier Challenges, and Premier Challenges, it seems like almost every month, 2 every month even. And so there are players that are in these Premier Challenge hotspot areas that can easily, put a big dent into this bar. And then there's players like me who, like I just said, I'm going to my first Premier Challenge this weekend. I have got 0 championship points at the moment, so I'm honestly I'm inviting this low bar. Maybe after some regionals, especially after I go to the national or whatever. Hopefully it won't look so big, this bar, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Again, it is a day 1 pass, and you would expect, if there are going to be a lot of players from Europe that maybe aren't quite so good, saying this respectfully, players that have been to a lot of Premier Challenges and got a lot of championship points that way, you would think that they wouldn't be able to get through day 1 of Worlds. I would hope that, if I get this 275 championship point bar, like this year, I would hope that I could pass through day 1 and earn my invite to day 2 that way. So, we'll have to see how it all works out, but we're going to look at some Pokemon now. Here's the list of basically Pokemon by base stat total here. So, you've got Mewtwo sitting at the top, and we're just going to go through a bit of order. Order in Pokedex. It's always nice to order them. And just a few of them, and just see how my opinion might have changed on them. We're going to start off with Mewtwo again, right at the beginning. Now, I did wonder how popular these Mega Mewtwo forms would be. I don't think I've seen any Mega Mewtwo form. I suppose the issue with Mega Rayquaza and Mega Mewtwo is it does take up that Mega slot. So, you can't use Mega Kangaskhan, or you can't use Mega Salamence, or, any other Mega when you've got this. And it does take up one of your Uber slots as well. So, I can understand that. But also, if you look at where's Mewtwo? Here's the original Mewtwo. It's got 100 less base stat total, but if you're looking at Mega Mewtwo Y, then are you really going to be using the physical attack stat, which has gone up 40? And actually, Mega Mewtwo Y, it loses 20 in defense as well. So I think normal Mewtwo with an item is actually a lot more interesting and a lot more usable, more viable than a Mega Mewtwo form, which is quite interesting. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I suppose a Mewtwo X could be alright if you got like a Kangaskhan weakness, but there is Xerneas and there is Groudon, which is obviously very bulky on the physical side as well. So, you know, this 190 attack stat is still going to be like a 2-hit KO on Groudon. So, I don't know. I mean, Smeargle is very popular this year so far. If that will die down or not, I don't know. But like Smeargle and Quick Guard, so Smeargle and Crobat, for example. Mega Mewtwo Y, I mean, with Insomnia, you know, can't be put to sleep by Dark Void. After it Mega Evolves, it will, if it is like, you know, timid max speed, will be faster than Scarf Smeargle as well. So maybe there's some use for Mewtwo there, but maybe I'm not too surprised, but maybe a little, that actually normal Mewtwo is probably a bit more viable than regular Mewtwo. And not exclusively as like a big, just sort of, you know, fast glass cannon special attacker either. Mewtwo can be like a fast gravity for your Groudon. It can Trick Room if you do want that option. And it's got a skill swap as well, a fast skill swap, which could be quite useful. So Mewtwo, I think, could be used in its normal form. Let's go back to the Mewtwo page. Here we are. Mewtwo used in its normal form, you know, with an item, holding an item, and maybe it's a bit more of a support role with gravity, with skill swap, etc. Next, we're going to have a little look at Ho-Oh. Now, I haven't tried out Ho-Oh yet, but I mean, Groudon, like I thought in the original video, Groudon is the big threat of VGC 2016. If it doesn't have like Rock Slide or any other rock move on it, you know, if it's just got ground moves and fire moves, then Ho-Oh wars it quite nicely, and it can recover as well, and it can take advantage of the sun with its own Sacred Fire. It is pretty bulky if it wants to be, especially on the special side. I suppose not so much on the physical side. And it can hit it very hard as well. So it does have some support options with Tailwind, etc. But I've not really used Ho-Oh, but I'm just giving it an honourable mention here, thinking that maybe I overlooked it a little bit in the first video. Let's just have a little look at the big primals. We've got Kyogre. I've done a few games with Kyogre, a lot less, admittedly, than I have with Groudon. I think the biggest problem with Kyogre is it doesn't really have a reliable water attack. Now, I really hate muddy water. I've always hated muddy water, and Origin Pulse is just a glorified version of muddy water. It's more powerful, but it's got the same accuracy, and you really want your attacks, especially when it's a big powerful thing like this, and like knocking out a Groudon, for example, is going to be really important. You really don't want that to miss. And outside of Water Spout, which I think is maybe a little bit too situational, there are things like Sucker Punch as well, you know, more common than they were in VGC 10 as far as I'm aware too. You know, you've got what, Scald? You know, how many Scald Kyogres have you seen? I mean, maybe one or two, but I don't know, I'm not sure. So I think that is the biggest problem with Kyogre. I mean, it can Thunder as well, and it can Ice Beam, but other than that, Kyogre, from my experience, I mean, I suppose you can use Substitute on it as well. I used one with Substitute. I actually used one with Icy Wind as a little bit more of a support role as well. But I don't know, I think its move pool is quite limited. So it's an interesting one, Kyogre. Very interesting. You know, let's just have a little bit of a look at Groudon as well. I think everyone was looking at Precipice Blades, but the special Groudon is actually getting quite common now, I think. You know, with Earth Power from Groudon, it's actually really nice, and an Overheat, etc. as well. I suppose you can use mixed Groudons as well. You know, a special attack stat of 150, not quite 180, but it is still very, very, very good. You know, an Earth Power, depending on how bulky another Groudon is from Groudon, can potentially one-shot it, but we've got speed tying issues and nature issues and all the rest of it as well. So, you know, quite interesting. Groudon, as I thought, is the big threat. Just going to have a little look at Rayquaza as well. So, you know, another third generation Mega Pokemon here. You know, Mega, Ultra, whatever you want to call it, Pokemon, restricted Pokemon. Now, again, a bit like Kyogre, I suppose, I've done a few games with Rayquaza, sorry. And it is a little bit underwhelming. It's not this big, powerful, you know, massive, it's not the new Kangaskhan like people were probably expecting it to be. Again, because it does take up one of your mega slots. Although when I used this, I did have another mega on the team as well, and had Mega Rayquaza as an option, because with a Life Orb, just the normal Rayquaza can actually one-shot Groudon as well with, pretty sure with a Waterfall, but with a Water Pulse as well if you want to go down the special route. Because Airlock, I think Airlock is actually a lot more useful than Delta Stream. Delta Stream, when you use Delta Stream, you put yourself into the whole Weather War game, where a Groudon can switch in, or a Kyogre can switch in, or whatever. You get murked down in that whole Weather War game, and I'm not too fond of that. But having Airlock on the field at all times means you don't have to worry about weathers at all. If you just stay as normal Rayquaza, then you can actually do a lot of work as well. So I'm a little bit surprised that normal Rayquaza hasn't been used so much, because I think people seem to assume that you just need to have Dragon Ascent. I mean, Dragon Ascent is a good move anyway on it, but you don't need to Mega Evolve it. But people just assume that it needs to be the Mega on the team, and I don't think it does necessarily. People were talking a bit about Golduck and Licky as well, with the Cloud9, which are very good abilities. You've got a really good Pokemon here with basically the same ability as well, so it doesn't have to be the Mega Pokemon on your team. Airlock is still a fantastic ability. So I think normal Rayquaza, actually, maybe a little bit like normal Mewtwo, could be used as well. Marching forward onto the 4th generation Pokemon, Dialga I thought would be like the 4th most commonly used restricted Pokemon. But Palkia I completely overlooked, and I have seen a few Palkias around, and it's quite interesting this, because the VGC metagame now, it's got a bit slower than it was last year, because all of these Pokemon, Groudon and Kyogre, they've got base 90, and Xerneas is base 99. They're all under 100, so the metagame is a lot slower now. And we've got Palkia here, which is one of the few Pokemon, one of the few these big Ubers that actually has this base speed of 100. You've got Lugia that's at 110 but can't hit very hard, and Mewtwo at 130 but is really frail as well. But we've got Palkia here, who's sort of in the middle. It's kind of bulky, it can definitely take hits, and it can do a lot of damage as well, and it is faster than all of these really common restricted Pokemon. So after overlooking Palkia, actually I think it is potentially a really nice Pokemon. It does get this nice move Spatial Rend as well, which is a glorified Dragon Pulse, I suppose, with a bit less accuracy. Nice to critical hit as well. But the thing with Palkia is I'm not sure, I don't know what this orb is called, the something orb, the one that does water and dragon moves. I'm not sure that's going to be so common on it, but I think maybe something like a Choice Specs might be quite common on Palkia when or if Palkia starts getting used a bit more commonly, because like a timid Specs Earth Power from Palkia, I'm pretty sure can one-shot quite a lot of Groudon, so it does have that going for it. I'm pretty sure it's got options for other, it can Thunder if you really want that for Kyogre as well. Obviously it's got its Spatial Rend that can hit very hard. Hydro Pump if you want to go down that route as well. I think it is a Pokemon that I definitely did overlook it, but it does have potential. I do think Palkia has got potential. And along the same lines, we've got Kiram here as well. Not the normal Kiram, but I'm specifically just focusing on White Kiram, which is, I suppose, a bit like the Palkia, but it doesn't outspeed Xerneas. It's got base speed of 95, so it does do Groudon, it does do Kyogre, it does hit harder, so, maybe a Life Orb on it, or, maybe you don't have to Choice Lock it with a Specs, like, you don't necessarily have to with Palkia, but maybe, you don't have to Choice Lock it as much as you might do with a Palkia. The biggest problem with Kiram is its typing. Unfortunately, Ice type has always been, such a terrible defensive typing, so you're weak to, fighting, you're weak to Rock as well, as well as Dragon and Fairy and Steel, so Kiram, it's pretty, it's about as bulky as Palkia. It's got a bigger HP stat, but its defenses are both low, so it's about as bulky as Palkia. It's a little bit slow, but it hits harder. So, you know, like I overlooked Palkia, I think Kiram has got maybe a little bit of potential, maybe not quite as potential as Palkia though, because it, you know, it can Earth Power as well. Earth Power, I think, is going to be one of the most commonly used moves in the VGC 16 format. But you know, maybe it was wrong to just overlook Kiram straight away. And the last Pokemon that I'm just going to quickly touch on that I did overlook in the initial thoughts video is Yveltal, which is quite interesting. Now, everyone knows how much I like Liepard, and there was that team going around with Liepard and Yveltal. People have been using them those two together. You know, Liepard, Yveltal, like, woo, you can get like more powerful foul plays, etc. with Dark Aura. I've not used Yveltal myself, so maybe I'm not as qualified to pass judgment on it just yet. Maybe I will try it out in a little bit, but I really don't like you know, recurring types. I would really shy away from using both Liepard and Yveltal. You know, they're both weak to Fairy. You know, Xerneas is really popular, etc. So I'm not sure about that, but standing alone, I think Yveltal really does have some potential. I think I overlooked it originally as being not quite so bulky. I mean, both of its defense stats are below 100. It does have a big HP stat, but with investment, it can actually take a lot of hits. So I have seen like weakness policy ones, seen Life Orb ones as well. Both of its attack stats are very big. With a Life Orb, a Sucker Punch can one-shot a few things actually, and with its big special attack stat, you know, Dark Pulse will do a lot of damage as well. And Oblivion Wing can do quite a bit of damage as well. Oblivion Wing is actually quite interesting. I do like, you know, seeing it suck up all of that HP when it hits something. So maybe the more defensive Yveltal is you know, more suited for what it can do, but it has got support options, like I might have said in the original video. It can Tailwind, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it can Tailwind. You know, it can do stuff like Knock Off and Snarl, I've seen on it as well. So it does have these more supportive options, and it is actually more bulky than I originally gave it credit for. But whether or not it's good with Liepard, I'm not too sure. Maybe it is, maybe I will try it out, I'm not too sure. But I'm just giving Yveltal an honourable mention here because I overlooked it probably pretty quickly in the original video. So there's a few Pokemon here that I've changed opinion on a little bit. Most notably, I suppose, Palkia. I think Palkia does have some potential. Rayquaza, I do think is quite interesting. Not necessarily as the Mega form, but just staying in the normal form, keeping that airlock. I think that is actually a lot more useful than people are you know, giving it credit for. I think people are just really overlooking that at the moment. And normal Mewtwo, I think, could maybe grow in popularity just as a supportive set with skill swap. With if you really want to, Gravity, you know, put your Groudon next to it in Gravity and Precipice blades everything kind of thing. And then if they've got a Kyogre skill swap. So I think Mewtwo in its normal form could be quite useful as well. So I thought it would just be quite interesting to overlook, well, not to overlook, but to look over some of these Pokemon that we've, you know, looked at last week, but maybe in a different light. Poor Reshiram and Zekrom, I don't think I've seen either of those being used, so I don't think, I mean, it's this awkward 90 speed stat, I don't think they're going to go anywhere, to be honest. Giratina, I've seen a few Giratina Origin forms, not really sure if my opinion has changed on it. I think because it's weak to Fairy and it is weak to a lot of other common types as well. Like Aegislash is, you know, still, you know, pretty good against it, and you know, lots of other things as well. I'm not too sure about Giratina, but again, I think it's obviously got potential. Xerneas, like I thought, it's, you know, this big sort of Geomancy sweeping thing, but I think people are sort of getting wise to Xerneas. People are even using things like Roar and Whirlwind, and I don't know if I've seen any hazes yet or whatever, but I mean, maybe that can, you know, be a little bit of a tech, as people say on teams, to counter that. But people are preparing more and more and more for Xerneas now, so that doesn't surprise me. I think Xerneas' popularity will probably go down a little bit, but it, you know, like I said in the original video, I think it will still be a big threat of the format. So thanks for watching this, guys. I hope you've you know, enjoyed. Michael Parkinson up here. Go on, say goodbye, Michael Parkinson. Goodbye. Hope you've enjoyed watching this video, guys. I will, after the weekend, upload some videos If it's from the Premier Challenge or not, I don't know. I don't know how those games are going to go, because I'm using, I'm planning on using something a little bit different. So, thanks for watching this, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, leave your comments, what you think about the metagame 1 week on. I thought it was very interesting seeing the comments from the last one. But thanks a lot, guys, and goodbye for now. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, etc. Ciao, goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen.